Friday band shows.
Yeehaw!
I don't think they say yeehaw in bluegrass.
No? What do they say?
I don't know. I don't think it's yeehaw. I think that's Cowboys.
Well, the devil's not afraid of a dust-covered Bible. If we don't use a weapon, how do we expect to fight him? Without the blessed word of God, how can we have revival? The devil's not afraid of a dust-covered Bible. God has commanded, read the scripture every day. We need that blessed word of God to help us on our way. When the devil tries to throw temptation in our path, we need that weapon by our side to fight him every chance. The devil's not afraid of a dust-covered Bible. If we don't use a weapon, how do we expect to fight him? Without the blessed word of God, how can we have revival? The devil's not afraid of a dust-covered Bible.
Everybody now.
That's something you get into singing, right?
Camera angles. All right, enough hillbilly jamming.
That's a good tune right there.
Sing a few songs.
Yeah. Are we going to do that on Sunday?
You want to do that on a Sunday?
I think we should.
You think we can get everybody behind that one?
Sure. Devil's not afraid of a dust-covered Bible.
Right? I thought that was catchy.
Yeah, that's nice. Yep. Wow. Well, this is Friday. It the week has gone by quicker than I expected. I didn't know that we were going to be here this quick.
No. Yeah, the right amount of days have happened, and here we are.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Something yesterday told me that it was time to get up tomorrow morning and go do Friday show. So I was like, oh, it's here.
And it's here.
Oh,
It came quick.
yeah, it did. It did. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. We need your subscribership. Actually, we don't need anything, but it would be nice to have your subscribership.
It would be nice.
And if you like the video, hit like and share it. Do all that good stuff, and send it to your friends so they can watch. Last week when we finished out the show, Brandon and Matt were having a bit of a controversial conversation about Christians and the need to be looking like a Christian, meaning obedient. And so Brandon's viewpoint was... okay, go ahead.
Specifically,
Go ahead.
that we are the judge of their salvation or not.
Yes. So the idea was that if we look at a Christian and we're judging their fruit, which the Bible talks to us about doing that, but if we're judging their fruit and then we're making judgments about whether they're saved or not, Matt's like, we can't be doing that. Brandon's saying, well, it's kind of hard not to because you're looking at somebody who's acting one way and saying another thing, and so you're asking yourself the question, are they really a true believer? And so maybe it's more of a skepticism than a judgment on Brandon. But let's just ride out with that a little bit today, and then I want to share something with us just to kind of walk through some depth of that. But let's just run that out. Anybody got anything to throw out there? Brandon, why don't you just give us like the rundown of what we were kind of chatting about, like your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't know. If you're not living a Christian life, I mean, I don't know.
So isn't it? So it's kind of almost like if you were to make an illustration, it's like saying you're a doctor, but you have no training, you don't do surgery, you don't go into the office, so you can't really claim to be a doctor if you're not.
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. And that's a poor illustration because a doctor usually just goes to school for 8 years really hard and then gets a lot of money for telling people what he learned in school. So it's a little different than being a Christian. But
you know what you're going to have?
What's that?
You're going to have 100 people that like that doctor and 100 people that think he's a quack.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
I just think that we should be changing how we live if we're Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, what good does this do us? Having this ability.
Ability to judge?
Yeah, to say you are a Christian or not a Christian.
I necessarily don't want to judge. I'm just wondering.
Well, I mean, if we look at, let's use our new friend, Jim Caviezel.
Yeah,
What would you say about him?
he's a good Catholic.
I don't know. I don't know enough about him, to be honest.
And I think that what you'll find is, if you wanted to condemn a person and say, I don't want to be around that person, then you would have an easier time of saying, I don't think they're a Christian. But if you were like, hey, let's listen to what this cat has to say, you'd be like, I don't know what he is. I'm just listening.
That's like New York, 1999
That's not
language when you call
condemning.
someone a cat.
I'm not condemning people. I'm just saying that's probably not Christian-like.
And maybe that's okay to judge that, like saying, hey, that's not Christian-like. But
'Cause
based
I'm sure I still do stuff that's not Christian-like.
right,
Or
but
say things or whatever.
but their salvation is going to be based on their. So this is the real question: is salvation based on what you say you believe about the person Jesus, or is your salvation based on the fact that you are a follower of Jesus and you're
Walking in the light.
walking in the light? Okay. You want to add to that, Jim?
Well, like 1 Peter 2 that you shared. You know, the young fellow that came and he dealt with those, 3 verses?
Mm-hmm.
And they were all don't, see? And you can go to anywhere, like in Revelation, or you got 2 or 3 places. Everywhere in the Bible, in the New Testament, Paul, all the writers had things, don't do this,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
where's that going to play in?
Yeah. So, okay. So this is where theology. I mean, there's divisions in theology of this. You know, there's scholars that get divided on this. But in a church environment, we've talked about this in the past too. We probably haven't done the church people a good service by telling them that they can just say a prayer and believe in Jesus and then live however they want. Right.
Right.
We can't do that.
Right.
I think that's what we're getting at.
Yeah.
They've got to learn the word.
Right.
I mean, that's where the life is.
Right. But ultimately, I think our bottom line is that we shouldn't be. We got to let God judge where their heart is as far as their salvation, though.
Yeah, and this is, I mean, thinking about this show, I think we've wrestled this topic pretty much our whole existence.
I think so.
Because, you know, deep down inside, all of us want to be able to go, yeah, that's the answer. Yeah, that's the right or wrong. But yeah, it's very easy to go, okay, so Billy Graham was a waste of time. And that whole idea. And some even throw him into the conspiracy theory bus to say he was part of the elite. Mm-hmm. Right? But that's not to say someone wasn't saved at one of his rallies.
Right.
We can't throw the whole pot out.
Right.
And we want to, because that makes it sanitary for our mind. Mm-hmm. We can go, no, they're all garbage.
Yeah.
But you can't.
No.
It's the Message Bible. You cannot tell me one person out there has not been saved by that stupid Bible.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's a stupid version of the Bible.
Yeah.
But somebody may have read it and it changed their life and made them follow Jesus. Mm-hmm. And you know who knows that?
Right.
Jesus.
Right. So I was reading in Zechariah the other morning, and it's interesting because when you read the Old Testament, you get this idea that back in the Old Testament, it was always like God wanted people to follow the law and do what was right. But when you get to the New Testament, you don't have to do that. So I want to show that that's not true. But I also want us to have a discussion. Then how can you do that? So here's what Zechariah writes to Joshua the high priest. This is not the Joshua that fought Jericho. This is Joshua the high priest during the reign of Zerubbabel, and this is when they're going back to rebuild the temple. So it's in Joshua chapter 3, verse 7, and it says, "Thus says the Lord of hosts," and he's saying this to Joshua. And this is the angel of the Lord standing before Joshua, telling Joshua this. So it's Christ himself telling Joshua. "Thus says the Lord of hosts, if you will walk in my ways, and if you will perform my service, then you will also govern my house, and also have charge of my courts, and I will grant you free access among these who are standing here. Now, this is a common command of God to his people. If you will walk in my ways, if you will follow my statutes, if you will do what I tell you to do, then you will have blessing, then you will have life, then you will go into the land. You will do it. Okay? So people say, well, that's all Old Testament. Well, now if you go to John chapter 8, and you start in verse 31, so Jesus was saying to those Jews who had believed him, if you continue in my word, then you are truly disciples of mine. And you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Now, that's an if-then statement. So he didn't say, if you will say a prayer and believe that I died on the cross for you. He didn't say that. He said, if you will continue in my word. And what is his word? Well, up at that point, it was all the prophets. And technically, he is the word. So you have the written word, you have the spoken word, and then you have
him.
And then you have him, yeah. So ultimately, it's following him and letting him transform your life. And if you do that, he says you'll truly be his disciple, and then you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So when Brandon sees someone and they're not being set free, then the question ultimately does kind of rest, are they continuing in his word, and are they truly being his disciple? Because if they were, they could get free from that. Now, I don't know if we can judge their salvation, but ultimately we know that they're not being a disciple in that sense, because if they were, they could find freedom. Or maybe it's our part to try and help them, because we're supposed to make disciples. So let's go with that. What are your thoughts on that stuff?
Sounds good.
We agree.
They have to make the choices.
Okay.
They first have to learn what's, God requires and what he doesn't, and then do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Jesus, not my will, but your will.
Right.
It really came down to that at the end.
Right.
If you can take this away,
Yeah.
but not my will, but your will be done.
Yeah.
But they have to know what his will is.
Right.
And that's, that's where we really have to know the word. So.
Yeah.
Did you listen to that song I sent you guys after last week? The link?
I did.
Yeah, he was a gravekeeper.
Yeah.
And then did you hear that at the very end?
Uh-huh.
They do the scripture with the store up not treasures on earth, but treasures where your treasures are is where your heart is.
Yeah.
Like that. So that's kind of been on. I think that's relatable to this.
Okay.
Because, you inherently, if you are not saved, you're just inherently packing away stuff here.
Right.
Like, that's your default. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you have to, you catch yourself as a Christian going, well, am I trying to save things here? And what does it mean to store up treasures in heaven? Mm-hmm. And ultimately, doesn't that ultimately mean we're sharing the gospel and you're not putting physical things away in heaven for you.
Right.
The only thing we can do is share the gospel. And I would say, talking about the subject that we're talking about, is somebody who would be ready to share the gospel if you truly want to know if someone is saved.
Yeah.
That'd be their mark.
Okay.
They're sharing the gospel. Yeah. And I think that's convicting to my life. Yeah. Not that I'm not willing to share the gospel, but am I sharing the gospel?
What if they share the gospel in a mean, unkind way, and then if the person doesn't accept it, they're like, fine, go to hell then? Do you think that's the mark? Just because they're sharing the gospel, but what if they're doing it in a really mean way?
I don't know. Let's talk to Jesus about it, I guess.
See, I've always seen the mark as one who loves. Because, and again, we have to define love because the world really sucks at this.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to define what love is. And so love is sharing the gospel with someone.
I'm sure Anton LaVey loved all the people he was.
Oh, I'm sure he
dealing
did.
with.
Yeah, at least what he calls love. And today, the woke culture talks a lot about love, but what they're talking about isn't love. It's about selfishly finding their own indulgences, their own wants, their own desires, just like anybody else. So, okay.
David Miller, is being in my word the same as works of the law?
Well, it depends on when we say works of the law, it depends on what we're talking. If we're talking civil law, if we're talking dietary law, I mean, there are laws that Israel was given according to the Old Testament that aren't necessarily for us to follow today. But even civil law, it was always grounded in the justice and the truth of God. Dietary law is one of those things that's kind of here nor there.
But yet it is one of the 7 deadly sins.
Well, gluttony is, yeah. I hear what you're saying. But so depending on what the law is, ultimately the continuing in his word will cause you to fulfill the law, I would think. He fulfilled the law.
That's right.
Therefore, if you continue in him, then his law will be fulfilled in you, I would think. I think that makes good sense. That's why I always get a little squirmish when people want to throw out law. They're like, oh, I don't have to follow the law. Okay, well, I get that. But law is what, like even Paul said, God never threw out the law. Jesus himself said, I didn't come to destroy the law, but to fulfill
Well,
it.
and ultimately, as just as people, we have to organize ourselves around something. Something has to organize our day to day.
Yeah. So that's what's so nice about Jesus, because you organize your life around Jesus, because he is he's everything.
Yeah.
He's all that.
Yeah. And the 10 Commandments.
Well, he's the 10 Commandments, yeah.
And the other 2 commandments.
Yeah. So I was almost careful there not to quote a Mormon scripture, but he is the law. Remember that controversy in The Chosen? He's the law of Moses, and people said that's actually in the Mormon Bible.
Oh, okay.
So they used that. Jesus said that, but he didn't say it in the Bible, but he said that. So
Slick moron.
yeah. Well, everybody was
They're
trying to think like,
sticking it
is that
everywhere.
true? Well, technically, it is true. He is the law of Moses.
Yeah.
I mean, technically. So whether it's in the Mormon Bible or not, we might not say it's inspired, blah, blah, blah. But it's not like they grabbed on some kind of a, false
Heresy.
teaching. Yeah. Yeah. So this is where Stephen Manley really brings it home, and why I really always like having him, because ultimately he will take you back to Jesus. And so if you are a person who's struggling with judging other people's salvation, the only way you're going to deal with that is not to say, okay, I'm going to let everybody have a free ride and not judge anybody. I'm going to start, doing this. No, he always gets you back to, you got to saturate your life in Jesus, and then Jesus is the one who will change your heart and show you how to see people. And then when you start seeing people the way Jesus does, you don't have to worry about judging them, and you don't have to worry about their salvation, because Jesus will show you exactly how to treat them.
David Miller, who added his profile picture and is looking quite handsome.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, Dave. Brian associated John 8 with a passage in Zechariah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said.
Okay. I did.
Well, I think that was related to his question, is being in my word the same as works of the law? That's the only thing I have these 2 sentences to work with.
Okay, so if works of the law is saying that that's how I'm saved, by the works of the law, then being in his word is not, because ultimately Jesus himself would not say, if you read your Bible every day, then you'll be my disciple. That's not what he said. He said, if you continue in my word, and this
Which
concept,
would be really great, because I do technically read it.
you do technically, that's right. So my point of view is that what Jesus is saying, if you continue in my truth, my word, then you are truly disciples. It's a mark of who you are. You're my disciple. You're learning from me. Then you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So what's the truth? Well, Jesus said, I am the truth. So now you're going to know Jesus, and he's the one who sets you free. So ultimately, it always comes back to Jesus, not the law. So I would have to say that the work that we are doing is getting to know Jesus. That's the work we are doing. There is no work of the law. So I don't go into the Bible and try to find out how I can be a better person. I get into the Word to try and find out how I can know Jesus, and then Jesus makes me that person. That's how I would describe it.
It's all personal.
So when we say work of the law, no, I'm not working to do things so that Jesus will help me or that Jesus will let me into heaven. My work is to know him, and then ultimately he is my salvation. He is my law. Jim, you got anything to follow up on
I
that?
was just thinking about, in the Old Testament, you had to, the law was to convict you of sin, righteousness, and judgment, put it all. But, really the only thing that can bring deliverance or salvation is his blood, his death. We have to accept that as our, our deliverance, if you will. So, that the law is convicting you of sin,
Right.
righteousness, and judgment.
Right.
So we really have to, they needed something, and they'd always have to have, a bird or an animal or something and the blood to cleanse them. Well, that law, that's done. Jesus is the covering now.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Right. Because the law could never make atonement for sin.
no.
Right.
So that's where, the New Testament, if you will, comes in,
Yeah.
right? I mean, trying to look at it,
Right.
what do we do? Well, we need to get covering for our sin,
Right.
or forgiveness.
Right.
And the only thing for the New Testament is Jesus Christ's blood.
Right. Right. So let me just let me see if I can do this from what Jim just said. So salvation is not based on going to church, but why would you not want to when the writer of Hebrews says, "Do not forsake the gathering,
The assembling of ourselves
the assembling
together.
of ourselves together"? Why would you want to? You don't have to put money in the offering plate, but when God says, "Give me your first fruits," test me and bring all of your tithe into the storehouse, and I will rain down and open the windows of heaven and rain down on you. Why would you not want to?
Right.
So ultimately, it's more of a want to, not a have to. Because now why would you not want to go to church to be with other people and grow in your faith? Why would you not want to be a part of a Bible study? Why would you not want to give? Why would you not want to help the person on the street? Why would you not want to look at a person and say, okay, they're not where they need to be. I want to step in and love them and try to help them and disciple them and get them to where they want to be or where they need to be. And I'm going to do that with grace and patience and mercy. I'm not going to try to force myself on them, because ultimately, it's not my call. It's your call. You have to make the choice. I can't force you to do something. So Matt, if you could be a nicer guy, I'll try to help you. But if you don't want to, well, I can't do nothing about that. You're just going to be you.
Yeah, we have to really make sure he knows what God's way is.
Yeah, right.
And then he has to make the choice.
Right.
You don't expect him to do that prematurely.
Right.
And that's where church comes in, and fellowship. And,
Yeah.
like when they got together at the end there was the apostles' teaching, fellowship, they ate, and they prayed together.
Yeah, yeah.
So those were the things that held them together.
Yeah, and didn't Paul tell Titus that the older men were to teach the younger, the
Right.
older women teach?
Women teach.
Why would they teach them if
That's right.
if there wasn't any merit in that?
Yeah.
Well, so just this past weekend, my cousin Brad and myself were talking to this one fellow late at night. He's having a lot of troubles with his relationship, and take all of this that we're talking about, just throw it in a garbage can, because these people, they're so stuck on themselves. You have to get past, and this was the frustrating thing, was trying to get past their selfishness to realize they're also part of the problem. Right?
Yeah. You're talking about Christian.
No. I'm talking about the unsaved.
Okay.
This gentleman definitely is nowhere, and because my cousin, who's recently been starting to come to church, he's starting to find the value in a regularly attending church.
Okay.
And things are turning around in, different lives in our family, right? And so, we're just trying to talk to this fella because he is in a bad way. And one of the struggles really was, we're not anywhere near any of these things. We're just trying to get you to understand that both you are morons.
Yeah.
And both of you are fighting each other, and it takes both of you. And then it's like story of why it's not my fault. Story of why it's not my fault.
Yep.
Story of why it's not my fault.
Yeah.
And so my cousin was like, maybe what you need to do is find a church, right? That's what he comes out with. Which then that guy goes right to, well, that pile of hypocrites, they'll just point their fingers at me while I'm sitting there. And what do you do with, like,
tell them
forget judging people whether they're Christians or not, or all these things.
Yeah.
You try and go after one of these, just pluck from the ditch.
Yeah.
It's funny because what pops all this into my mind is you're like, well, we're supposed to. I kind of have a hard time with this, and I don't know why, but because I grew up giving everybody my opinion. Go figure. When you said we're supposed to come alongside people and disciple them and look in their lives and what I run away from that. Like the last thing I want to do, knowing how crappy my life is, want to tell somebody how to live a better Christian life, other than what I know from the scripture, but like giving advice or whatever. But like this guy we were talking to, he leaves. And my cousin and I are talking, and he's like, wow. And I'm like, Brad, I kind of try and stay away from these kinds of things anymore. But this guy's so screwed up. It's like we're pushing a broom next to a train wreck. I don't think we're going to mess anything up. That's
a good way to look at it.
So, I don't know. Well, I wish, the whole point of what I'm saying, I guess, is like, I don't know. I had a thought and now it's gone.
Well, I think you could at least tell the guy, say, listen, people don't start judging you at church until you become a follower.
Yeah.
So you're good.
Right.
If you come as a non-believer, you're fine. No one's going to judge you.
Right.
Once you become a Christian, then everybody's all over you.
And everybody's, now you're doomed.
No, but so here's my thought on that, Matt. Like what you said is, and I think we've talked about this before, but this idea where Jesus said, if you continue in my word, then you're truly disciples of mine. And the word disciple is a learner. So again, here's the question. Like, you're like, I kind of run away from that because I don't want to lead people in the wrong direction, or I don't want to give them a false opinion of my opinion. Well, then shouldn't that like encourage you or like prompt you to say, okay, I want to jump in and let Jesus transform my life so that I can be a person that when someone, and again, I don't think we should ever, this is not my gig. Like, I don't think I look at Brandon and go, hey, something's wrong with him. I'm going to go fix him. But I think like coming alongside is like Brandon says, hey, I'm struggling. And then I come alongside. But you're saying, man, I kind of run away from that, even if they ask me.
Well, no. I mean, if somebody asks or whatever,
okay.
But a gentleman that you and I have both talked to.
Okay.
This fella comes and he says, I have this certain decision that I'm looking at making in my life. What do you think? And I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm not going to say one way or another.
Right.
Like this, to me, this is a personal decision to make.
Yeah.
But you need to assess all the things that say this is a good choice, all these things that say it's a bad choice, and figure out what category that's in and go from there.
Yeah.
That's biblical
Yeah.
to me. I mean, there are things that say this is a good choice,
right?
And there are things in the Bible that say this is a bad choice. Figure out which one those are, and then move on.
Dude, I told him straight up, the gender surgery is not good. I'm like, don't do it.
No, that's awesome. That's good. I should have just done that. That would have been faster.
No, but I hear that, and I think we need to be careful.
I guess so many people are willing to jump in. I grew up this way. I come from a family of people who are. I will tell you the right way to do it. You just sit down for a second.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I never liked it, and then I realized like I still do it to people, and I'm like, shut up, like.
Yeah. Well, this is why, Jim, maybe you could speak to this, because over the years, Jim, you've probably gone through the gamut of this, maybe seen this and maybe experienced it. But, like, isn't our job as Christians not to tell people what to do, but who to come to? Like, our job is to help them see that they need Jesus' wisdom on this. Yeah. Jim, thought?
No, that's what the Word is for. That's what fellowship is for, to get into the Word, and they're going to learn a lot of answers that they're looking for just by looking at the different situations in the Word and discussing them with other,
Right. Yeah, because if I came to you guys and said, hey, I'm thinking about stepping out on April, I mean, you guys easily could tell me what the word says. So that's one thing. But if I say, hey, I'm thinking about, making a purchase. Okay.
Yeah, but there are plenty of people that would tell you, you'll be okay. People get divorced every day.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll, being sound-minded Christians, listen, you got to do what's good for your mental stability.
No, I hear that.
You got it. Listen, this is your head.
I hear that.
And then when they're talking about it, they're like, I'm so happy for Brian. He finally got divorced and he's so much happier.
Yeah. I know. I hear
How
that.
many, dude, I hear this conversation all the time and I'm like, their spouse cheated on them? Well, no. Oh, they died? No. I'm like, whoopsie daisy. I think God's got a couple things to say about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Did the wife bring a letter of writ to release her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's about it. That's about what we got.
Was she a bad cook? Because the Pharisees could divorce if you were a wife was
Sure.
a bad cook.
Yeah.
Or if you found out she had a mole in a place that she shouldn't have a mole.
Which, this is very chauvinistic. Are you ready?
I don't know.
They must not have the crazy women that we have. You wouldn't need all that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need them all.
I hear what you're
You
saying.
wouldn't need bed cooking.
Yeah.
You just need to go watch your drive.
Well, culture suppressed all that back then. I mean, let's face it. When culture said women are, possessions and stuff, and they didn't that the culture suppressed a lot of. So now today the culture has allowed that to kind of.
Oh, that's
raise
a good
up.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments online before we jump into something else?
No, nothing else popping up.
Pretty soon you won't need a wife. You'll just have a robot.
A robot.
That's true. Could you imagine the emotional shallowness of thinking that a material object could fulfill you in some way? I mean, I get the gratification part maybe, but even that, would you not feel...
So what do you say about people on their phones?
Yeah, it's the same thing, I guess.
There are people that are already emotionally addicted to their phones.
Yeah. And there are people that gratify themselves through porn, so technically that's not a real relationship either. So,
Right.
So it's not a very far leap to say that we could use a robot. Someone could use a robot.
I mean, could you imagine being so lonely that there's movies about this. That you fall in love with your AI.
Yeah.
thing
Oh,
on
yeah,
the
yeah,
phone.
yeah.
Shh, shh, shh. Don't talk.
Could you imagine being so lonely that your phone going, man, you are a great person. I sure do love talking to you.
Yeah.
And you would go, well, that's really nice of you, phone.
You might not even be able to tell them apart here soon.
This is what I'm saying. I know.
Well, you know what I caught myself doing the other day? I'm like, hey, Siri, could you please call Brandon Westover for me? And I'm like, this is a
You
computer.
just said please
I
to a
said
computer.
please to a computer.
Yeah.
the
Which the Siri is, I guess, it's like retarded AI. It's not even like.
It is not. It's Apple, so it's got to be the smartest around.
Right. Yeah.
It's got to be.
I guess it's just simple AI. You don't have to use manners.
Yeah, well. So China is already, just to go on that route, China's already has robots that they're using for sexual pleasure, for sexual mates, those kind of things, and people are starting to use that. And the technology is only going to become more and more real for people. But with that, that just drives us into a deeper, already existing sexual perversion. It just begins to drive us deeper into
Deception.
to a deception where somehow there's fulfillment in this world. Like you said earlier, there's fulfillment in this world instead of the fact that there's really only fulfillment in one thing, and that's our Creator, who is God.
Right.
And until a person grasps that, they will go to the extremes of trying to find fulfillment, whether it's a sexual robot, or whether it's buying a lot of stuff,
Pot.
or whatever, drug
drugs.
addictions, whatever it is. Now, some people would say pot's not, a good joint might help you, and so that's all being legalized. John F. Kennedy, we don't have to get on this, but Robert F. Kennedy, who's running for president now,
Yeah.
and if he beats out Biden, it'll be the first person to ever beat the sitting president in 167 years, I think, like that.
Okay.
But he said that he wants to legalize not only marijuana, but psychedelics as well. So,
Awesome.
yeah. But he also is all for gay rights, and he's pro-choice, just so everybody knows that. Before you decide you're going to run to the Democrat.
I like that I
Yeah.
kind of sound like Robert F. Kennedy right now. It's really great.
Yeah, he had something go on with his voice several years ago, and it never
It's
fixed itself.
deteriorating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told April.
Dude, he is a buff dude.
I'm telling, he's not only buff, but I listened to his town hall meeting. Did you listen to the town hall meeting?
He's on TRT.
What's TRT?
Testosterone replacement therapy.
Oh,
Oh, he might be.
well, good
sure.
for him.
Why, has he got abs?
Oh, dude,
He's jacked.
stout.
Really?
He is stout.
He looks kind of jacked when he's sitting there because he's like sitting back. And
They have pictures of him with his shirt off. He's like, for an old man, he is stout.
Really?
Side note, did you see that Joe Leonard guy? He was a 30-year-old athlete.
No.
So, super lean all the time. Single-digit body fat his whole life. German.
Okay.
Blood work all the time. Mess with low doses of testosterone. Blood work always good, supposedly. Boom, aneurysm. Done.
Nice.
30 years old.
Okay.
Come to find out, he's had 4 rounds of the other one. The other shot.
Oh, listen. I just read a
But
piece
you're
yesterday.
talking perfect.
Perfect health.
Like a dude that was
300
like obsessed with his blood work. Obsessed.
395 cases studied. 74 deaths out of those. Or 74% dead because of the shot.
Wow.
Of 395 dead, 74% of those are from the shot.
And they're specifically attributing it to
Yeah.
that. Like, there's no qualms about it.
No. This narrative is starting to.
Well, this is what's in. I saw a whatever, the Christian Broadcast Network.
Dude, they're saying the healthier
Oh, wow.
the healthier you are.
30.
They're saying the healthier you are, the worse off the shot is.
Because your
You're
heart,
pumping it
yeah.
through yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, CBC
Which
Christian.
has been this is how I work.
Well, yeah. So you could have got a shot and you'd be fine.
I would be fine.
Because you're about as unhealthy as they get, right?
I mean, it's clear.
But see, I just saw CBC did a report, and I was surprised that they were doing it. But they did a report on why are people dropping dead at alarming rates.
Yeah.
And this started probably 6 months ago, but nobody wanted to talk about it.
Dude, it's our healthy people
Oh, yeah.
who could fight.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah,
another
that's
side note.
true.
Sarah's sister has this app that you scan food or whatever, and it tells you the rating 1 out of 100 if it's good for you or not.
Okay.
So,
Oreos has a 99% good rating.
no, she scans this thing of
I want this. Yeah.
great value mixed nuts. Okay.
Yeah, they're no good. They got vegetable oil on them.
Well, they're like, yeah, it's 90 or whatever it is. I'm like, give me that. Vegetable, soil, sunflower, safflower oil. I'm like, what? those people put their trust in that app, and
No, you
think
got to
it's
read
good
the
for you.
label.
Yeah.
And
Then we scanned a thing of the pistachios. All that's in it is pistachios,
Right.
no oil,
Right.
and salt.
Okay.
And they're like,
Bad for you because
bad
it's salt.
for you.
No.
High salt. High sodium.
You got to be kidding.
It was like a 40 on the 100 or something.
See that? Yeah, they're trying to kill us.
You know that?
This
There's
is
no doubt.
all right. Let's just get this out in the open. Conspiracy theory. They're trying to kill us.
Yeah, it's over. That's over. Well, we know. We have received that message. Listen, that smoke last week that nobody knows where it's coming from or why we had it. Mm-hmm. That's why I know this is why I have this going on, because as the days went on, I could feel like since I stopped smoking, I have not had any problems.
Huh. So now you know what smoke does to you.
No, I already knew.
Oh, okay.
Start talking like Junior, right?
Like what?
Is that Junior? The John F. Kennedy? Or
Oh yeah, no,
it's-
RFK. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
Robert.
I'm starting to sound like him. I could feel it as the days went on, and I could smell it was like electrical smell.
Yeah.
It was not like wood smoke.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is too, all this rain we have in the northeast, it doesn't we don't get forest fires. One of the great reasons why we live over here is because it rains. Like it's like a tropical rainforest for crying out loud.
Yeah.
You go outside and it's a dew point of 66 every summer.
Right.
We're swimming in the air.
I think
Yeah.
they were started by some lightning bolts or something.
There ain't no when they say they got started, there was no lightning bolts.
I'm with you.
I know. Listen, and this is the goal. Whatever they had going on, they're trying to make Matt Wilson dead.
Well, that could be true.
I
You
thought
are-
I thought it was all coming from Canada.
Yeah.
It is. But I think that's what he's talking about. Yeah. Matt, just try not to talk weird on this show as much as possible. All right.
We all need tinfoil hats. For
Listen, I don't. Let's
I'm gonna
let's
make
wait
my
6
own.
months.
Yeah.
Let's wait 6 months.
Wait,
Jim,
6
we'll
months.
make you a Viking one.
Oh,
A Viking hat.
Tinfoil hat.
Viking tinfoil hat. Horns on it.
How many people got tore up by COVID, and this smoke is shredding them up?
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was even reading that people are saying that if you didn't get the other thing, but you actually got COVID, that your body's still prone to build spike protein because of the COVID, and so you should take measures to take vitamin E and some different things
Yeah.
to try and help thin your blood,
Yeah.
so that you don't have that kind of issue.
Right.
So it's not just the people that
Took the shot.
took that.
That made it worse.
Yeah, it's actually the virus that they sent out that's messing with everybody's body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so God's going like whatever this pestilence, whatever they're trying to do to people as nations are doing this whole thing. God obviously is in control and He's for His saints, but the enemy or the Antichrist is going to try to take out the saints eventually. He's going to make war against the saints. Now, I don't know when that happened or if it has yet to happen, but I think he's already been warring with the saints. So let me ask this question. I saw a quick, and I know we always get on the UFO thing, so I'm going to take us there. I figure there's no sense not to go there.
Yeah. Let's just do it.
But I just saw a quick video of this one dude that has this podcast. It was 3 hours long, though, so I'm like, I'm not watching the whole thing. But so just real quick, this guy says, and he's an informant and he knows stuff on the inside, but he says the government for years has already decided and believed that all of this alien technology is demonic stuff. And so there are some branches of government people that are saying we shouldn't be messing with this because it's demonic. And there are other branches that are saying, no, we are messing with this because it's demonic.
We are demonic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right. So whether or not that's true, I'm just, I'm throwing it.
Both.
Yeah,
True.
because let's face it, if you were in our world, if you existed in our world right now, like if you came from let's just say 10 years ago, and you just dropped into 2023,
Blow your mind.
it would blow your mind the media coverage on UFO stuff. It is
yeah.
everywhere.
But everything, Brian.
Well, yeah.
I heard. I think it was Glenn Beck. They were talking yesterday. If you had a comedian from 10 years ago, you just dump out what they're put it on the radio today, that radio station would be out of business.
Yeah.
Like 10 years later, you can't even make the jokes that you made 10 years ago.
Right.
Everything is different from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, it's controlled now. The way I look at it, everything's controlled. They're very careful what you can say and what where before you can just say,
You had freedom of speech.
Right.
Yeah.
And wouldn't that be a great tactic of the Antichrist
Oh, definitely.
to shut down the Word of God, to try and shut down the truth?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, they started out way back where they took the prayer out of schools. You can't pray anymore. You can't, study the 10 Commandments or whatever.
Right.
Little by little by little, they keep taking more and more and more away.
Right.
Now, even our regular media have to be careful. Don't put religion into it.
Right. No, exactly. Yeah. I saw, too, let me see if I can pull it up just real quick here. Canada, this is in a Canada news report. Canada attends first of its kind UFO briefing at the Pentagon. A NASA panel has been created to study what the government calls unidentified aerial phenomenon, commonly known as UFOs. And they held their first public meeting. Andrew Chang discusses what we learned from that. The Canadian government has confirmed its participation in a first-of-its-kind international meeting on unidentified flying objects hosted at United States military headquarters. The gathering is composed of, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. And these briefings that are being done by some of these whistleblowers, a lot of the stuff is coming out of Australia and the United Kingdom, some of this information that they're throwing around.
Well, UFOs exist. We acknowledge them.
Yeah. But now the gray line is, what are they?
Yeah, and who's really controlling what if and what they're saying?
Right. Right.
We don't really know anything.
No.
Did you guys see?
Except what we're being told.
Right.
Let's say they're having a conversation with, okay, well, where are they at? Are they promoting what we would say is evil or good?
Right.
And we can't determine that because they won't tell us anything.
No.
Well, no,
See,
I think they have.
This
I think they have. And the people that have snuck stuff out, they are trying to save us from wrecking our climate. It just happens to fit the agenda of the people who want us to all die, right? They want to save climate.
Yeah.
Believe in them. God is
green.
Yeah. Jesus is not real. We are the real God. Let your AI rewrite your Bible.
Yep.
All that stuff. They're down with all that.
Yeah. Definitely. And if the demonic realm, and we're gonna have Joe Jordan on. I just emailed him, so I'm waiting for his response on what date might be good.
Like right now.
Oh, good.
Huh?
Like right now.
Not right this second. But Joe Jordan will be back on too to talk about all this stuff that's going on, all these whistleblowers, and we're going to talk about the demonic element to this
aspect of it.
Yeah. Because Satan is working his magic, and I'm telling you, the boys right now are watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. again. Like, they just run the thing on whatever Prime, and they watch episode after episode. And the more I watch that, I'm like, all of these series and movies that have come out, they're telling us exactly what the government already has. Like, they're ahead of us. Because if you watch the early parts of the series, you're like, okay, that's 2018. And then you get to the middle of the series, and you're like, oh, that's 2023.
I was just thinking that we watched a movie the other night with this, the drones.
Oh yeah,
dude, did you see what
Simulation
the
of-
Chinese? Did you see what the Chinese did this weekend?
No, let's see it.
Let me do the share thing here.
And these are the kind of things that Alex Jones has been talking about. It's going to happen.
Oh,
eventually.
I know. Yeah, no, tell me about it.
Yeah.
And it made me further question. If this doesn't open your mind to the fact that America is in the back seat to how the world is being run, then you're clueless.
Right.
I think so many Americans still think we're number one.
I know.
We're almost dead last.
Yeah.
We're almost a third world country. Because people still trust in our money, we're not Bolivia.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And you watch this video that we're going to watch and realize that we are not doing these kinds of things.
Yeah.
These kinds of things are not happening in America anymore, where we used to showcase this stuff.
Yeah.
But here, let me do the share thing. Screen. Desktop capture. Check this out.
Could we put some good like alien music to it, like whoa?
No, what we can do is get.
Whoa.
That's drones.
It's what?
Drones.
Drones.
Those 1,500 drones.
So these spacecrafts that people are seeing could technically be drones in a
I
formation.
mean, look how that looks.
Yeah.
Now it's very basic, but go back. Go back. Go back. Let's see what this one does. Because I mean, like the clip I saw was really long.
The dragon.
Yeah.
33 seconds. Apparently, this is it.
It moves nice.
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's rudimentary, but when you look at it,
Yeah.
like that's pretty complex. With these independent drones flying and doing this, and then
Right.
somebody's programming it to do those things. It's not a far cry to have something believable in the sky.
Right. Right.
We're not far away.
Well.
And,
Yeah.
and we're not doing it. I
Right.
guess that's
Right.
what scares me.
Well, and the other part of that is
We'll have drones hunting us and killing us.
oh yeah.
Well, yeah, make that a weapon system.
Yeah. Yeah. Easy. And the other thing that's might even be more kind of eye opening is that's drones. That's mechanical things that man has put together. Wait till you see a spiritual entity moving like that through the sky.
Yeah.
And it manifests itself.
Right.
Now you're talking on another level. And here's the thing, people are like, "Oh, Brian, you're just a silly boy thinking that." Would somebody please read their Bible? Somebody please read the Old Testament and New
Totally.
Testament.
Totally.
The spiritual realm is real. And they manifest themselves into the physical realm. And there is coming a day, if you read Revelation, where things like this are going to be happening.
A regular thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. Just read
Listen,
the Bible.
they're going to gather at Megiddo.
Yeah.
And if they gather, that means they exist.
Mm-hmm.
And if they exist, that means at some point in time they showed themselves. Yeah. And that means at some point in time it's not what we know now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yep. They keep themselves just undercover enough. They influence humans and use humans to do their dirty work. And they keep themselves undercover just enough so that the common average person will go along with it. And then eventually it's going to be exposed. Eventually it'll open up wide.
Yep.
Terminator.
Yeah.
Skynet
I was thinking about that
is
too. Like robots, say like them robots are everywhere and you knock one down.
Yeah.
I would think that AI in its head could skip to another one.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And fire another one up.
Yeah. Just like in Avengers when that robot takes over.
Yeah.
So I was
Stark
thinking 12 gauge, 25 rounds, depleted uranium slugs. This is what we need to drop these things, right? Those little drones, though.
You're not taking them out.
No, that thing will buzz in, poof, your head, you're dead.
Yeah, hit
And
you with a little
if
22.
If that drone is done, who cares?
Yeah, it's done. It did its job.
They got
it's
a million of them.
It's a couple $100 drone.
Yeah.
They got a bazillion of them.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were talking, okay, so they're talking about Iran having all these drones against Israel.
Yeah.
And yet China can do something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Dude,
seriously?
they
what
probably
do we...
have acres of drone facilities.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're doing that as their toy,
Right.
what they have militarily,
Right.
probably scare the crap out of you.
Well, this is I've never seen that video, but that's amazing because the movement of those drones and how they work.
Smooth.
How could that not be easily seen as a UFO. Like if they got a couple drones in formation,
Oh yeah.
you could quickly go, oh, that's some kind of a weird object out there.
My mind rather goes to like the programming and the systems that are on board each of those drones. Like, just think of if it's slightly windy, those things are staying where they need to be.
Right.
I mean,
Reads all that stuff.
that technology.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm afraid we're not there.
Right.
We're busy selling our own oil to everyone around the country. I don't think we're worried about this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Quick thought, and you guys take where you want to go with it real quick. But the World Economic Forum pretty much wants to have, by 2030, their agenda is the entire world will be under one government or one ruling force, and everybody will own nothing, and everybody will be happy.
Did you see the thing where there'll be no more fashion? We'll all have human uniforms.
I didn't see that part.
By 2030, they want everyone to have human uniforms.
That's a good idea, because I don't always like when Brandon looks better than I do. Because Brandon always looks cooler than I do. But if we had the same uniform on, it would be better that way.
Be equal.
Yeah, we'd be equal. So anyway, let me throw this out at you real quick. Is it possible that even though we're sitting here, and I still believe in the demonic forces at work and all that stuff, but is it possible for these nations of the world to have gotten together, and again, still under demonic influence, but could they be using these drones to make like Alex Jones has said this in the past too, make a false flag that there are these alien intruders? Because when people are afraid that there's
Beam, wasn't it?
Yeah, when people are afraid that there's an alien threat, non-human, they keep using this word non-human. If they can pull that off and make enough people afraid, people are going to go, okay, you guys rule us and take us and help us because we're afraid now. So you guys do what you want and we'll come under your authority.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just where they're going with this. Mm-hmm. Have you been watching Skinwalker Ranch?
No, I haven't got into that.
No, I've watched it in the past, though.
That's really, I find it really interesting.
Interesting?
Yeah.
I should check it out.
Because there's something going. Like they had these lights, and they're all, hundreds of them, and they hired some guy to come out and bring these lights up to a certain level, and then they'd send a rocket up, and that something would just stop the rocket and throw their thing out of whack, so all the little balls fall down. They're trying to keep and they think that they're contacting someone or something at I forget, it was so many megahertz. You have to go really high to get to this thing.
Wow.
Like a portal.
Yeah, like a portal, exactly. So
wow.
It where that plays it, and there's more and more of it coming now.
Yeah.
See, just about every Tuesday, they have not only in Utah, but they're going over to Nevada. There's another ranch over there, and they're going down into the ground, and they seem to think that there's something under there where these flying saucers are.
Wow.
It's
Jim, you've lost it.
That's interesting.
I'm digging it.
No, that's really good information. Yeah, that's cool.
Did you ever hear of Montezuma's treasure?
I've heard of it, but can you explain? Is there something going on with it?
No, it's just a crazy thing. Where I think it was the Aztecs or something. They moved all the treasure. I think it's up in Utah now.
Okay.
And it's in this. They buried it in this cave. Well, that cave, they figured out that when it flooded through there, it would fill this area with water. Now it's a little lake. So they had divers go in, boats, like little subs. Supposedly they seen treasure. Divers, dude, they said there's entities choking them in there while they're diving and turning off their Their oxygen.
Yeah,
That's a good time.
there's
So
some
they tried drilling it from the top with a bore machine.
That's it.
Yeah.
They had what they did. They
Dude had a heart attack the next night, died.
Oh, that might be different. They brought in this big drill, and it's called a mesa, and it's a big, not a mountain, but it's pretty big. So they drilled into it, and they got in so far, and then it stopped. They couldn't go any further, and they just let that drill sit there, thinking that it's going to ruin the cut, the cutter part of it. But it turned out it didn't. So they pulled it out, and then they backwashed all the stuff that they were trying to break into. And here they found pieces of
Gold?
no, when we send up like a rocket, there's certain, what would you call it?
Like the boosters that break off of the rocket? Or?
Well,
They make a heat signature.
yeah, but it's particles of different, really
Metals.
high level metals.
Okay.
And they're finding, when they drilled and they pulled that back out to see, what's going on here, the drill didn't have any wear on it at all. And all of these particles were particles that we have when we send up a rocket, see?
Huh.
And and it comes back into the atmosphere. It has all these special metals in it. And they're finding those when they drill into this hill.
Wow.
See? And then they went up on the top. They figured, well, nothing's happening here. Let's drill from above and see if we can go down into it. So they were doing that. They're trying to find out what's in this. What's in this mesa
Yeah.
is what they call it.
Okay.
And
Well, there's a lot going on in the world, man. A lot of weird stuff.
yeah,
A lot of weird stuff.
Good times.
Yeah.
but it is, if you think scripturally, I think personally, and I think you probably do, Trump has really, when he declared the city of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, the country even now,
Right. Right.
I mean, it was gone. There was nothing.
Right.
They didn't have a language. They didn't have.
Right.
Now they have a capital city
Yep.
that we recognize.
Right.
And, Jesus pretty much had fulfilled his prophecy.
Right. Right. No, I think we're right there. We're at the door. We're
Exactly.
close.
And now is the time to watch.
Right.
Look out,
Right.
Don't be deceived.
Yeah.
And don't share the
The
gospel.
Sound of Freedom did
Did you see it yet?
phenomenal. What?
Huh.
Sound of Freedom? No, I didn't go see it. But it
What if it's
beat.
playing in...
It might be.
Did you see it?
No, not yet.
But it beat Indiana Jones, and it also beat out the new Little Mermaid.
Good.
Because and someone, I think it was Megyn Kelly, I saw, she was talking with Kirk,
Charlie Kirk.
and
That was a good interview.
yeah, they were talking about how Disney has lost almost $900 million because of their woke status. These new movies they're putting out with gay.
Did you see the
homosexuals
Did you
and
see
stuff.
the interview with the CEO of Budweiser?
No.
So
They changed the race, a Little Mermaid?
yeah,
Yeah, but there's something with LGBTQ in there too, like gay stuff.
the CEO of Budweiser was on like one of the morning shows, Good Morning America, and they actually asked him, like, knowing what you now know, would you have run that promo? Would you have done that? And the guy totally doesn't answer the question. Just babbly gobbledygook about how they, they affirm rights and they want to be there for all the people and all this kind of stuff. And the guy comes back around and he goes, I know, but knowing what you know now, would you have done that same action? And he just will not answer these corporations are so
They're owned by others,
but they
probably.
don't care about you or me.
Yeah,
Or
they're locked together now.
businesses used to care
Right.
about the customer. The customer was always right.
Yeah,
Now it's the business is worried about what the New World Order wants.
exactly. It's only My Pillow that can,
No,
That's
it's
the
true.
only. That's the only company.
that's the only one that will really come out and say, "Buy My Pillow."
Yeah.
Or
Well, I'm gonna buy a pillow then.
David Miller says amazing movie.
Oh, so you saw it, David. That's cool.
Somebody sent me this. It's Hunter's son holding a bag of Coke. It says my kilo.
They found some code.
Use
huh?
promo code Big Guy to get 10% off.
So whose Coke was in the White House? Anybody know?
All right, so I listened to a Dan Bongino,
yeah,
who was a Secret Service man during the Obama administration,
Yeah, who got kicked off of Fox eventually?
yeah.
who
I
got
think
kicked off
it-
of Fox. Well, listen, you guys really ought to step over to Rumble. It really is quite amazing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good shows over there.
They have an app.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
Yeah, they have an app, and then they have an app for these TVs. Like, I'm watching Rumble more than YouTube now.
Yeah.
But anyway, he said, just knowing what I know and how this works, that was somebody in the family, and that is it. Nothing else gets to the White House unless it's that family.
Wow.
And he goes, and Hunter was on premises. He goes, so you do the math. And they show videos of him this weekend, like on the balcony of the White House, and he's like jumping around and going crazy. And I don't know how you can't see that our president is not of right mind,
Yeah.
and that his son is a cracked out cokehead. Yeah. I mean, we are emperor's new clothes.
Yeah.
We are there.
Right.
But yeah, that's what he said. He goes, "There's no way that didn't belong to the family, because everything else the Secret Service knows about."
Yeah. Wow. Amazing stuff. We're
Well.
living in some good times. Also, France has fallen. I heard.
Yeah, I
Because
heard
all
that
the
this week.
all the riots.
They've lost their country.
France has pretty much lost it.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
No, I mean there was reports on the Australian Sky News. I saw where they literally the headline was France has fallen.
Yeah.
And they said all these riots from that one, was it a girl or a African young man that was killed by the cops, and all the riots started over
Yeah.
there. I mean, their riots are like on steroids compared to what
Right.
happened here.
Which is what they want here. It's what they've been trying to get going.
Yeah.
They can't get it going.
Yeah, see, we have too many states. They're like, one of our states.
Right.
So,
Right.
like in Oregon, they're burning things down and everything,
Right.
and they can contain that. It's not going to get over to Washington,
Right,
for
right,
instance, But they only have that one, France.
Yeah.
And if they can't handle that,
Right. Well, you take a look,
Man.
because the pictures are devastating to what's going on. What's been
Oh,
going on in France.
they're saying since World War II.
Really.
Like, France has not had this problem and looked like this since World War II.
Wow.
gee whiz,
Yeah.
where's the police? See, they're probably taking it from our
Well,
police that don't do.
It's
you
so
know, the-
the thing I watched, it's the Muslim invasion. They are being overtaken by the Middle Eastern culture, and this is just another stepping stone in that direction.
Okay.
The map they showed was incredible. Everywhere that they have allowed refugees to cross the border, which are usually Muslim, there are these problems of riots and mass shootings and terrorism and the things that are tearing these countries apart.
Mm-hmm.
There's one European country that does not have this problem. Poland. And how many of these people do you think Poland has let into their country? 0.
And we make jokes about them.
Well, I mean, this time they're okay.
Gotcha.
This time they got it.
Oh.
I personally think they're staying out of Poland because Russia is ready to just swallow them in
Yeah.
a second.
And
Yeah.
a lot of who are we fighting with the country? We're giving them all our weapons. Ukraine. They were going into Poland. We know some people that in the Ukraine that we built a church for them over there.
Yeah.
And some of the folks from there went into Poland.
Okay.
And one of them he had to have dialysis.
Okay.
And so we followed him, and apparently once they got into Poland, they took him into the hospital, and he's doing fine. He's finally over here now because some of the people, have brought him over.
Okay.
It's Poland must really be standing against this thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing that is tearing Europe down piece by piece, they have not succumbed to, and they don't have these problems.
Yeah.
But like I said, they know Putin will strangle it.
Yeah, and that was such a weird thing. Like, what was it, a week and a half ago? When
The coup?
Yeah.
All garbage.
It was all that guy literally owned a media company before he supposedly became this fighter.
I really don't know who watches the news and thinks that they're getting the news.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't care what channel it is, Fox.
Yeah.
Like, if you at this point,
Right.
you have to have off track. You have to have non-mainstream media sources.
Yeah.
Because everything that all the national things are saying,
Right.
it's all backwards.
Do you think if we got a hold of Ralph Hirschberger, do you think he would give us some real information in Germany?
I don't.
That'd be interesting just to get his,
Like what's
He's
going on in
dancing,
Germany?
he's dancing around a maypole,
I know.
wearing
that's what
those lederhosen.
That's
things.
what I'm afraid of.
That's all he's doing.
Yeah, clogs.
I'll bet
or
he's got
clogs.
I'll bet he has like rosy sunglasses with Mickey Mouse ears, and
Yeah.
he's got a big old stein of beer, and
Oh my goodness.
yeah, that's what he's doing. And then
All around.
he's leading his dog around it and stuff.
Ralph, if you're watching this, shoot us a text or something.
Let us know.
Let us know what's going on there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're looking to have Joe Jordan on here in the next few weeks, and I'm looking to secure Stephen Manley again. So we're looking some good shows coming up. We maybe do some revamping come August, but we'll talk as a group later today, and we'll let our viewers know about that, because I don't know if you guys are going to continue to do the 10 o'clocks on Fridays, or if we want to reduce some stuff. So we'll talk about that, how we're going to do that.
Is this because we come late?
Huh? Yeah. Well, I can't have people showing up late for my eggs and bacon. So.
You need to make it earlier.
Yeah. No, you're good. All right, so you guys can go out. I'm going to see there's someone here that needs some service, it looks like. So.
All right. Anybody else got anything to add, or are we punching out? We'll just punch out.
Well, it's after 11.
Yeah. All right. Let me find the ending.
That's good.
Go. Go ahead. You finish out your thought.
Well, we got an error report.